It's the first week of October, and on October 1st, Portugal opened up just a little bit more. And this was always the intended plan, but because of our high vaccination rate, things are moving forward. So we're going to talk to you today about what's moving forward and what has changed.
We moved here a year ago, back in October of 2020, and I feel like we've just come full circle.
Lots of ups and downs, kind of a roller coaster for sure. When we first got here, masks weren't required. People were wearing them on the streets, some people, but nothing was mandated or required, right?
Yeah, it was actually a low percentage of people who were wearing masks out on the streets. It was around 15 to 20%, which was quite different from where we were coming in the US. It seemed like there was a lot of masks wearing in the States. And then throughout October into November, it started to get a little more and more and more. Then we hit like January through, goodness,
March-ish.
March, and
April,
everything was just shut
I
down.
guess through Easter, right? Things were shut down, so we went into full lockdown really in January. You couldn't even have takeaway coffee. It was so bad. Nothing was open. So we really have seen it all. But now it's October, and because things are going well, October 1st, we saw a new thing of requirements being lifted and mandates being lifted. So let's go through those.
Let's do it.
I would say the biggest thing for me, the most exciting thing is we as customers do not have to wear our masks indoors now. So when you go into a shop or you go into a restaurant, you don't actually have to have your mask on.
That's true. I still keep mine on.
I don't. I'm like, freedom.
But each establishment, they can choose whether they require the customers or clients to wear a mask or not.
Yes. Now, workers still have to wear them. And if you can't socially distance, let's say you go to get your hair done to the hairdresser, you still have to wear it because you can't socially distance and you're being touched. So you still have to wear a mask for that.
Okay.
There are a few other places that you still have to wear masks. Malls are a big one, even though you could probably socially distance at some of those. I think they're testing out to see how that goes since it's a big space but indoors. So you still have to wear your masks at malls. In addition to malls, places like hospitals, nursing homes, educational establishments, public transportation, all of those you still have to wear masks on. Josh recently went to a live sporting event. Now that was back in September. So what did you have to do in September? Let's talk about how it's changed in October.
Yeah, so in September, they asked us to either show a vaccine card or for Europe or Portugal, you have like a QR code. And they would scan that. And we had to also register. When we bought the tickets, we had to register with like a list for contact tracing. So whenever we purchased the tickets, each individual person had to show their ID and then also, give a contact number so that contact tracing could be done. But getting into the stadium was actually quite fast. Our ticket was scanned. They quickly either looked at the card or scanned the QR code, and then you're in.
And then masks?
Masks, yes. Okay, so this is a funny one. At the Boa Vista game that I went to, there were some people who had their masks on, some people who didn't. I believe that at that time, certainly masks were definitely required, and they're still required. They're required to wear inside of stadiums. We were not socially distanced, so yeah.
So at venues, nothing has changed there. So sporting events or any live music like that, you still have to wear a mask, and you still have to show a certificate or a negative PCR test.
Yeah, I think the contact tracing thing is pretty clever. It just makes buying tickets a bit of a pain.
Yeah, because you have to go in person, so you can't do it online, so that is tough.
Yeah, even online now, I tried to buy some tickets for an FC Porto game, and I could only buy one. I couldn't buy like for a group of friends. So it's actually easier if you're wanting to go with a group of friends. All of you guys go to the stadium or wherever the ticket outlet is, and each of you buy an individual ticket just next to each other.
Now, for bars and clubs that are opening up, like live music, which is great, this stuff is now open, but you still have to show either a negative test or your vaccine. We mentioned restaurants a little earlier. You can walk in now. You don't have to have a mask. Another good thing is there's no seating capacity limit for a table. So at first it was, they were, 2 people, 4 people, 6, 10, and it kept opening up depending on if you were indoors or outdoors. Now all of that is gone. Another good thing is you don't have to show your vaccine certificate on the weekends. That's gone as well.
And a hilarious observation that I had regarding the whole table situation is that on October 1st, across from us, I take the dog to this little square, let him walk in the morning, and there were probably like 12 to 15 ladies that had just commandeered all of the tables at this cafe, shoved them all together, and they were having a breakfast.
Again, like with the mask, like I said earlier, these
So
ladies were probably
funny.
like, freedom!
It was so funny.
And that was even outside too.
That was outside. Yeah. One thing that really impressed me was just how organized the vaccine centers were. Kalie and I went to 2 different vaccine centers in kind of the region of Porto. It wasn't in the city. Mine was in Gaia. Hers was in Matosinhos. They didn't function exactly the same way. They didn't have the same exact form, but they pretty much were efficient the same way.
Yeah, they rolled you in and out pretty quickly. You did have to sit for 30 minutes afterwards so they could monitor you, which is a good thing because I think both of us saw a few weird things with that. So that was good. The English was pretty good, enough to where you could understand what was going on, and then you figured out that you got your little app and you could get your certificate on your phone. Now, a good thing too is because things are going so well and because Portugal is supposedly at least 85% double the 2-jab, double vaccinated, then now they're starting to close down some of those vaccine centers. So they popped up a lot of them because at first they were being a little criticized for how slowly it was being rolled out. Well, they started rolling it out faster because they popped up a lot of these temporary places, and now they don't need those. So they still have them for people who still need the vaccination, but they don't need as many. So those are starting to go away as well.
So all of these high vaccination rates means that travel's starting to open up.
Yes, even more. So they've been gauging how different countries are doing, and those are opening up even more depending on what country you're coming from. Places like the US, UK have been open for a while without any quarantine. But you do still need to wear your mask while you travel, of course, at the airports, on the airplane, and you have to have either the negative test or the European vaccination to travel around Europe.
Americans, if you have been scared of traveling, all you have to do is get on that plane, be safe on there, and get over here.
Well, you need to do a test within 72 hours before you get on that plane. But you can. But you can.
Yeah, you can. You can get over here. You can enjoy Portugal. We're kind of in the shoulder season right now, so it's not too crazy. You can still take amazing tours of the Douro Valley if you're coming up north. There's still tours that you can take down south. I'm sure we're kind of coming to the end of the harvest in Alentejo, but so many beautiful things to see, and you can golf as well.
Lots to do. So if you're wondering, should I visit Portugal? Is it a good time? Is it safe?
Go.
The answer is definitely yes.
Yeah.
Things are opening up so much more, and the plan is for them to open up even more, but things are going well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not going to feel like it did back really in like January, February, March, April, May, June. No, I mean, we say that in jest, but we do know from talking to friends back in the States that things in certain states have been quite wide open for a while, and people have felt their freedoms or whatever. It's starting to look like that here in Portugal, but the vaccination rate is so much higher. So that's a good thing.
Yes. So if you want to come visit, definitely come visit. You can do a recon or scouting trip if you're looking to move here. If you know you want to move here, then check out our D7 playlist because we did everything DIY. You can check that out over here. Now let's get moving.
Bye.